Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Dear brothers and sisters, Mubarak to everybody on the 13th of Rajab, uh, the birth anniversary of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Uh, Imam Ali alayhi salam, Ibn Abu Talib alayhi salam. Uh, Today is the birth anniversary. Assalamu alaikum. Joining with me, brother Hussein.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. And brother Mansur. Assalamu
Assalamu
alaikum.
alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, brother Mansur. So today is the birth anniversary of Imam Ali alayhi salam. So we'll be going over his birth and other significant events in his life. Uh, on the 13th of Rajab, Bibi Fatima bint Asad circled around the Kaaba, praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Suddenly a loud crack was heard from the corner of the Kaaba, and the corner opened. The crack that was there, it cracked open, and she went into it. She walked into the Kaaba, and the opening closed behind her. I'm pretty sure if you go there today, you'll be able to see the crack where it was opened. Um, a few days later, she came out of the Kaaba with a newborn baby in her arms. Uh, Prophet Muhammad SAW, who was waiting outside, received the baby, kissed him, and named him Ali. Now, what do you guys think about the fact that Imam Ali alayhi salam, he was born inside the Kaaba? What do you guys think? He was the only person ever to be born inside the Kaaba. Brother Hussein, can you give us some of your input?
It's pretty interesting because Imam Ali alayhi salam is the first Imam, right? But at the time, nobody knew he was going to be the Imam. Yet this miracle happened when he was born. He was born in the Kaaba. How amazing is that he was born inside of the Kaaba before they even knew he was an Imam, before he met the prophets? Nothing.
Yeah, so that is quite miraculous. His name, Ali, means the high. So that's what is the meaning behind his name. So already giving him the name the high as he was a newborn. Brother Monster, can you tell us what you think about him being born inside the Kaaba, the only person ever born inside the Kaaba?
I just think that it's pretty crazy. Just can't believe it. It's
Yeah,
you know,
but what does this show us? That he's born inside the Kaaba. What does it tell us? This tells
it
us,
tells us
yeah.
it
Go
tells
ahead,
us
brother Monster.
it just tells us how special he is. Being the first uh person born in Kabul, and he's the first Imam.
Thank you, brother Monster. That is actually right on the dot. This alone tells us his importance and his position with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Before any of his life achievements, just being born inside the Kaaba, the only person ever, that just shows us his status already. Even though he's a newborn, we know his status. Uh, his name, of course, means the Most High, uh, and he is a true example of the teachings of the Holy Quran because he was of course, if we go to his birth, he was already the cousin of the Holy Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Allahumma salli ala
Allahumma salli ala
Muhammad
Muhammad
wa
wa
ala
ala
Muhammad.
Muhammad.
He was the son of Abu Talib and Fatima bint Asad. And of course, it was like we mentioned, he's the only person ever to be born inside the Kaaba. So early into his life, he spent a lot of his time with Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and you can see how that impacted him. Because of course, if you spend so much time with somebody, like usually they say, okay, your friend group kind of affects you and this, that, right? So that, of course, he was raised by the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam pretty much. I mean, there was a 30-year age gap between the two. So he spent a lot of his time and he was under the influence of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam most of the time. And after Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam declared his prophethood from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Imam Ali alayhi salam was the first to accept Islam. So, Brother Hussein,
Yes, brother.
what do you think about this? That he was spent so much of his early life, he was raised by Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. What do you think about that?
It's pretty interesting because Imam Ali alayhi salam, he was spent time with the Prophet. Allahumma salli
Allahumma
ala
salli
Muhammad
ala
wa ala
Muhammad wa ala
Muhammad.
Muhammad.
I won't.
He spent time with him before he was an Imam. So that really shows how important he is to be even able to be with the Prophet at that time. Because being with a holy person, of course, affects you. So when he was with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam at the time, when he was like spending time with him, that obviously would have rubbed off on him. That's why Imam Ali alayhi salam was obviously very pious and smart, of course. So it's honestly very interesting to know that even before he was an imam, before he was known declared an imam, he had a connection with the prophet.
Yeah, I mean, if you just think about it, even what we were talking about his birth, the Kaaba is the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So this tells us his status and his importance. And being raised by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam shows us, that he was also how pious he was and how good, you could see the qualities that he had weren't there by mistake. So uh it also mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Imam Ali alayhi salam from the same light as Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what do you guys think about that? We all of course know Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. All the trials and tribulations he went through, Imam Ali alayhi salam was right there with him. What do you guys have anything to say about that? What does this tell us? That being born in the Kaaba and having a high status, that he was born in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And of course he was the only person born inside the Kaaba. So what would this tell us not only about when he was raised, but also his birth? If that makes sense.
Makes sense.
Yeah, somewhat.
Brother Munster, do you have anything?
Oh, Brother Munster, can you share with us your a hadith from
Yes.
Imam Ali alayhi salam, who has a lot of hadiths if you go look them up.
Yes. Um, be like the flower that give its fragrance to even the hand that crushes it. Brother Ali, what do you think this means?
That is very, very good saying there. Yeah, so be like the flower that gives its fragrance even to the hand that crushes it. Now, let's just look at the literal meaning of that. Even if you crush a flower, right? You still get the smell of the flower. It's not that the flower gives you a bad smell because you crush it, or because you're picking it up, or you pluck it from its uh
Stem.
stem. Yeah. Okay. So what I think about this is Imam Ali alayhi salam, even though someone else might have wronged him or done something to him that he didn't like, he was still always, giving out uh good. He was still giving out good even if someone gave him something bad. So sometimes, he had, of course, go to akhlaq too, but uh he even gave good to someone who didn't give him good, or who gave him bad, the opposite. So, Brother Hussein, what do you also think about this? Because it's a very important saying. I mean, do we give, do we give uh, like this hadith says, do we give, are we like flowers that are crushed and still give fragrance? What do you think about this, Brother Hussein?
I think this saying is quite interesting. It's very interesting to ponder on. What I think it means is that even like a fragrance when it's crushed, right? When it be like the flower even gives it okay. So what it means is that be nice to people even if they're not being nice to you. Like even if they're like so basically to the hand that crushes it, I think means that if someone's like making fun of you or something, still be nice to them and like be the flower. Yeah, so gives it fragrance to even the hand that crushes it means that basically be nice to people even when they're not being nice to you.
Excellent. There, Brother Hussein. Very good input. Uh, we mentioned earlier that Imam Ali alayhi salam was the first to accept Islam. So Imam Ali alayhi salam says about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that he took me in his lap when I was a baby, and I was always with him. I followed the Prophet step by step, like a baby camel follows its mother. He was the first to offer prayers behind Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. During those days, Islam was the religion of only Prophet Muhammad, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and his wife Hazrat Khadija alayhi salam. So of course they were kind of like there weren't a lot of followers, and Imam Ali alayhi salam was right there. Sometimes uh, sometimes when you're the first there, right? It shows how much he cared about Islam and his belief and everything like that. So, brother Hussein, what do you think about this? That he was following him around? I think we already touched up on the subject, so we can move on. Um, brother Monster, do you have another saying for us?
Yes, I have another hadith, and so a wise man thinks and then speaks. A fool speaks and then thinks. Brother, saying, what do you think this means?
Uh, that's pretty tricky. But I think what it means is that don't say things that you don't mean. Think before you speak, meaning like because sometimes when you're talking to somebody, you accidentally blurt out something that you didn't mean to say. That's what it means by when a wise man thinks before he speaks. So basically,
So basically, what you're trying to say is that if you think before you speak, then you'll be considered a wise man. But if you don't think before you speak, you'll be considered a fool.
technically, yes.
That
Brother
is
Munzer, what is your input on this thing?
that is direct. Well, yes. Go ahead, brother Monster.
I think it means like you should uh think before you speak, or if you don't think before you speak, you're gonna like regret it in life, and you're gonna always be like, damn, I should never said this.
That's deep,
And
Brother
just like,
Munzer. That is deep.
Yes, brother Monster. That's very good input there. But if we take a step back, that is the direct meaning, right? The direct meaning is if you don't think and then you speak, you're a fool. But if you do think before you speak, well, it's not considering that you are, but it's saying here's the traits of a wise man, here are the traits of a fool. Um, so that's the direct implication, basically. It directly implies that. What we're not looking at, the indirect, is it's saying that, sometimes when we're, I don't know, kind of maybe out of anger, we might say something, right? It's
That
hard
you
to
don't
kind of,
mean something that you don't mean.
yeah, but sometimes when you're angry, right? This is a good example of anger. It's more able, your tongue kind of flies freely, right? It's harder for you when you're calm to just kind of blurt those things out, because when you're calm, you're obviously thinking about each word that comes out of your mouth. But if you're angry, you might just be everything that comes to your mind you're giving out. So there's no filter. So of course, the error will be if there's like, okay, let's just put it this way: if you have like uh, even a car filter, right? If the air isn't filtered, then the air won't be clean. But if the air is filtered, but if the air is filtered, then it'll be clean. But if it isn't, it won't be clean.
very good input there.
Simple
Wonderful
as that.
analogy, Brother Ali. Wonderful.
Makes your brother
Our
say.
minds are like car filters.
Well, filters in general. Water filter. You don't want to be drinking dirty water, do you? Okay, brother Hossein, can you tell us the story? Finish the story that I was starting.
Imam Ali alayhi salam was the only person ever to be born in the Kaaba. The Kaaba, the house of Allah. This alone tells us his importance and his position with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. His name, Ali, means the Most High. He is a true example of the teachings of the Holy Quran. He was the first to follow Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa
and
jibari.
Islam. He is Amir al-Mu'mineen,
Imam
Imam al-Muttaqi, which means he, alayhi salam, is the leader of the Muttaqi, the pious, those who follow the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Thank you, brother Hussein. So he's what was the first title you were saying? Amir al Mu'mineen, right? Imam al Muttaqin. Now, just looking at this directly, uh, what does it mean to be the leader of the Muttaqin? Brother Mansur, do you have anything to share that you were thinking about the leader of the Muttaqin, the pious, those who follow the commandments of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being Amir al Mu'mineen?
Mm, Um, brother Hussein, what do you think of this?
Brother Sain, do you have
Uh,
any comments? If you don't, I have some.
well, him being Amir al-Mu'mineen, I mean, Imam al-Muttaqi, right, leader of the Muttaqeen, it's pretty interesting because it means we obviously want to follow him. And that really shows how what his position is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him the leader of the pious. Those who follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's commandments, he made him the leader of the muttaqin.
Okay, so I even heard there was a story where they were calling Muawiyah Amir al-Mu'mineen. So, of course, we can see the contrasting personalities. Uh, Imam Ali alayhi salam, can we talk about a little about his character? Brother Hussein, what do you know about Imam Ali alayhi salam's character without any research right now, just off what you've heard and what you were taught? What do you know about his character?
He was obviously very patient. There's many stories of him being patient, even though people like mean to him. I think there was I forgot what,
The story
but
where
yeah,
he was spit on and then he was about to in the I think it was a battle.
yeah. His his patience, of course, his generosity to the poor, right, and his knowledge, of course. He always there's a lot of hadith from Imam Ali alayhi salam about seeking knowledge.
Oh, that is a great point. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, uh, I am the city of knowledge and Ali is its gate. I'm pretty sure that was it. 99%.
Well, actually, I have another one.
What is the quote?
Which one? The one I have?
Yeah, the quote.
It was. I don't know the exact one, but this is what it
Oh,
was.
okay. So that was the quote. Uh, Imam Ali alayhi salam said, I mean, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that I am the city of knowledge and Ali is its gate. If one wants to enter, you should enter through the gate. So of course, if you can't get into a city if there, I mean, if there is, it's just an open city. Yeah, you can. But if there's a gate, you have to enter through the gate. So
It,
you have to go through Imam Ali alayhi salam to attain knowledge.
it's pretty funny because someone was asking me that what do you think that exact quote means, and that's exactly what I said. And they said, "Wow, that makes a lot of sense," but they didn't say it was right.
Yeah, well, of course, if you enter through the gate, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi that's why I think Imam Ali alayhi salam has there's all these hadiths and all these sayings and all
I actually
these
have another
right.
hadith,
Yeah.
another quote from Imam Ali alayhi salam. It was, it said, knowledge is of the property of the believer. It said, seek it, even if you have to get it, even if it said it's the lost property of the believer. It said, seek it, even if it's like from a hypocrite or like a.
I thought it was said seek it even if it's all the way in China.
Why did Imam Ali Islam say seek it even if it's in China?
There. Okay, so I guess there's truth in both
But
of
yeah,
these, brother
that's what it
Hussein.
was. It said even if you have to seek it from the believer. I mean, from a hypocrite.
What are you, Batman? That you're gonna be taking taking the
No,
guy's throne? Yeah.
meaning like even if like I think it wasn't a hypocrite. It was something like that, or disbeliever. But yeah, there are. That's just one of the quotes. There's Imam Ali alayhi salam has a lot of quotes on knowledge, lots of them about seeking knowledge
Yeah. So I
because
guess
of course he's the gate.
he's the gate. Yes. Very good, brother Munzer. What do you think about Imam Ali alayhi salam being the gate to the city of knowledge?
I think that means like if you follow his ways, he can like it gets you to paradise.
Very good. Very good there, Munzer. Uh, yeah. So basically, following Imam Ali alayhi salam and his character and the way he lived, uh, is pretty much the recipe that we have, the predetermined recipe for, if you want to go to Jannah. So his characteristic, how he, you know,
So I think
everything, his characteristics, his faith,
I think it
his
means by following
his footsteps.
following in his footsteps, meaning like his behavior, his patient, the way he's patient, his generosity, following his traits.
So what does one hope to achieve by following these so-called traits?
Paradise. And also seeking, obviously, knowledge.
Because Imam Ali Islam wasn't just knowledgeable. Also, he had many battles. He was seen as one of the best warriors of, especially of the time, but maybe of all time. So Imam Ali Islam, it wasn't just that he was, philosophical and he was, he knew he had a bunch of knowledge, this, that. He also was very strong and very brave. He was the walking and talking Quran. So when Prophet Muhammad said, I leave the two most important things, the Ahlul Bayt is one, and the Quran is the other one. Now, the Ahlul Bayt, of course, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he was a main part of the Ahlul Bayt. He was, of course, the father of Imam Hassan alayhi salam and Imam Hussein alayhi salam.
And that's actually his kunya, Abul Hassan. It's a title.
Abul Hassan?
Abul Hassan, yes.
Where'd you get that from?
So, brother,
Hadith Kitab?
brother Ali, I would like to read a hadith. So,
Go ahead, Brother Munzer.
if Allah guides you to remember Him, it's a sign that Allah loves you. So, Ali and Hussein, what do you think this means?
That is very. You want to go first, Brother Hussein? Or should
You
I?
go, brother.
So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides you, a sign to remember him, it's a sign Allah loves you. Because what I'm thinking of is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, one of the traits of Imam Ali alayhi salam, of course, constantly remembering Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that builds character. So if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to bring you, of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always tries to bring you, to the right path. He's constantly giving us all these chances. Of course, it's Rajab, Shaban, Ramzan, especially Ramzan, which is coming up soon, by the way. He gives us all these chances. So he's trying to, bring us on the right path because it just shows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even all of the humans, just think about how he's trying to bring you onto the right path. Sometimes it'll just pop in your head, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. And sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will just put in your head, okay, this is what needs to be done. Maybe you haven't read Quran and you really want to read Quran, or you haven't read Namaz al-Shab and you really want to do that. Or maybe you've been, missing your Namaz. Sometimes you're able to get straightened out like a wrench. There's a screw that needs to be tightened.
Yes. Crank. Straight, yeah.
Yeah, so Brother Zain, you were going to say your input on this?
Yes, my input. Brother Munzer, what's your input on this thing?
I think it's that Allah will always guide you. Or
Okay.
I think he's a little tongue tied. I think I'll give my perspective right now. So I think what it means is that it means a sign of Allah loving you means if you remember Him, meaning like if He tells you wait, what was the saying? Read the saying again.
If Allah, I think it was if Allah guides you to remember Him, it's a sign Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you.
Okay, so I think this means that like like if you're just sitting and if you just think, oh yeah, I have to like read my namaz, or if you're just even contemplating about like if you're just even if it just pops in your mind, oh yeah, you have to do something right related to one of the things that you have to do, like Islam related, if it just pops in your mind, right? And you remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's a sign that interesting. Brother Ali, so continue.
Yeah, so Imam Ali Islam was, of course, very modest, very brave. He has all these. He pretty much has all the good attributes that any human being could want in their right mind. Of course, sometimes people are going after other traits that really don't help them. But Imam Ali Islam had all the very, very good traits. He was very brave. Of course, he battled in all in the fight for Islam. Of course, he was very brave and very compassionate. Usually, those things are very hard to get as a bundle, but Imam Ali Islam was able to. Uh, an example of his bravery was when Prophet Muhammad SAW asked Imam Ali Islam to sleep in his bed in place for him. Now, it was very risky because they were coming. There were assassins who were coming to try to. They surrounded his house, so they were waiting for Prophet Muhammad. They were trying to assassinate him. Imam Ali Islam was waiting inside his. He switched places with him, so he was inside his bed, and of course, that if it could have went wrong, they could have killed him too. But he understood that he has to make some sacrifices, being brave enough to even be sleeping out surrounded by assassins. So, Brother Hussein, do you have something to say?
Brother Ali, do you have something to say?
Number on the screen, Colin. Brother, you share with us your hadith. The wind is having an impact.
The wind is
It's been very windy here.
Yeah,
What's
I
that?
have another hadith I like to read.
Go ahead, Brother
A
Munzer.
believer, a believer is someone who is fair to someone, even if they are not fair to him. So what do you guys think this means?
Wow, that's pretty interesting because I said that exact thing when I was giving my input on the first
A
hadith.
believer is someone who is fair to him, even if he's not fair to him. Yeah, so I think this is in line with the flour situation, where even if you crush it, right?
Mhm.
Imam Ali Islam, another thing he was doing, he was very just. So even he was very kind and very just too. So even someone maybe they wronged him in some way, he would still be giving that kind of flower-like quality of not kind of lashing back, but instead giving them something good in return. Uh, by the way, if you would like to call in, the number is on the screen, which is Brother Saint. Would you like to say in
Number on the
sync?
screen, which is
925
925-523-3766.
The first question is, if you know this question, you should call in. If anyone wants to also share, Brother Saint, can you pick up that mug that we are also giving out? Uh, there. The question is, if you're able to answer this, you should call in. By the way, Imam Ali Islam was the first to accept what? And this is just a fill in the blank. We've already mentioned it on the show. And Munzer, that's an interesting background there, Brother Munzer. Okay, so
This is the mug, by the way.
very nice mug
Two-sided.
there. Can I use this? This isn't the exact mug, by the way. So Brother was saying, again, we were talking about the battles that Imam Ali alayhi salam had fought in. Now, we understand what it takes to even be in any battle, really. It takes bravery and courage. But Imam Ali alayhi salam, he had all that and much more, as we will be discussing further. Of course, being Imam Ali alayhi salam, he was under the influence of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That really helped him because it just shows you. I believe during one of the fights, where they said Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had been killed, Imam Ali alayhi salam, he continued to fight when everyone else ran away, and later they asked him, why did you not run away with the others? Why did you continue to fight? He said, go ask the people who ran away, and then come back to me. So he went and he said, why did you run away? He said, well, if if the prophet had been killed, then we had no hope, right? He said, oh, we have no hope. When he went back to Imam Ali, he said, oh yeah, he said this. He said if the prophet had been killed. No, he said if the prophet had been killed, there is no reason to fight. That was it. There is no reason to fight. So he went back to Imam Ali Islam, and Imam Ali alayhi salam said, if the prophet had been killed, there's no reason to live. He said, let me go at least become, shaheed fighting for Islam. So
Well, I think the exact thing was if the prophet is dead, there's nothing to live for.
It could be, Brother Hussein. Very interesting. You might have seen a different narration. But yeah.
What narration
So,
did you see?
Brother Hussein, can you answer the
Brother
question for us?
Sherlock, I mean. Sorry.
Imam Ali alayhi salam was the first to accept what? Brother
Bible.
Hussein?
I mean, sorry, Islam.
Islam? Interesting, Brother Hussein. So you're saying he was the first to accept Islam, really? Is that what you said? Interesting.
Yes, it
That
is.
is correct.
And
Allahumma salli
Allahumma
ala
salli ala
Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa
Muhammad.
jafar.
By the way, whoever calls in gets a free mug. It's totally not a bribe. It's a gift. For
Imam
the
Ali Imam
birthday
Ali
of
alayhi
Imam
salam
Ali alayhi salam.
was the first to be born in what, Brother Monsieur? I'm directing
And
this question.
he was the first person to be born in the Kaaba.
Excellent, Brother Monsieur.
Allahumma
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa
Wow.
jafar.
Brother Munster, you get a mug.
Ah,
Not only the first person to be
I
born in, the
mean,
only person to be born in.
already got a mug here.
Oh, it just teleported in his hands. I don't have it anymore.
Brothers, if you like to call in for also a free mug, the number is 925-533-3766.
766.
Okay, Brother Hussein, like we were saying, he was the first to be born in the Kaaba. Today is his birthday. What should we be doing to celebrate Imam Ali alayhi salam? And what have you personally done?
Well, I put on this beautiful turtleneck and learning some more about Imam Ali alayhi salam, and as Imam Ali alayhi salam always says in his hadith, seek knowledge. One of the most things that Imam Ali what Imam Ali alayhi salam talked about a lot is about seeking knowledge. There's many hadith. I've already said one. I can repeat it, which is knowledge is a lost item of a believer, and it said seek it even if you have to get it from a hypocrite, which means make him squeal.
Well, Imam Ali, Brother Munster, can you tell us what personally you have done or would like to do for the 13th of Rajab? What would you like to do on this occasion?
Maybe I would probably just read the Quran, a couple pages.
Read Quran. Would you also like to learn more about Imam Ali alayhi salam?
Yes, obviously. Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yes. So learning about Imam Ali alayhi salam, of course, it is his birthday. But just learning about one of the noble characters, especially in Islam.
In fact, I think there was something about when you talk about Imam Ali alayhi salam's virtues, it said was it something about paradise? Because at the time when Imam Ali, something during Imam while Imam during the Imam alayhi salam's imamat, people that I think the caliph or something didn't even want them to talk about Imam Ali alayhi salam. They didn't even want him to mention. They didn't want them to mention him. So there was some benefit that when you're like, if you talk about his virtues, then there's something I forgot the exact thing, but it was
you're
about
talking about under the Umayyad rule.
Yes.
That the they were banned. They were pretty much banned. They weren't able to talk about Imam Ali alayhi salam. Now we of course have our majlis and say Nare Haidar Ya Ali, or we say Ya Ali Madad, different things. But,
yes.
the
The Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said,
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
one who mentions any one virtue of Ali alayhi salam, accepting it in his heart, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive all his sins from the past as well as from the future.
Wow. As from the future too, so that means you'll have pretty much no sins.
And for the viewers, pick one hadith you will work on for yourself as a gift to Imam Ali alayhi salam.
How about this one? Keep your thoughts cleaner than pure water. By the way, this is the hadith. As water drops make a river, thoughts make character and faith. So, of course, the cleaner the water, the better. As I was talking about filters. Not the car filter one. The water filter. You want
I think
clean water
I will personally work on the hadith about seeking knowledge.
Seeking knowledge. Let's see what else. This is a very good one. If someone hurts you, then do not be upset, as it's the law of nature that the trees with the sweetest fruits are beat the most. So sometimes we
Because
ask
the people
ourselves,
that want the fruit, they beat the tree in order to get it down.
yeah, especially what you've seen apple trees.
Yeah, like apple trees. If an apple is on a tree, sometimes maybe they like hit the tree or something, and maybe the apple falls
So
down.
that's
So
where
I
the
think
analogy comes from.
that's where it's relating to the
Yeah. So of course, sometimes we keep telling ourselves something like maybe, well, why me? This is only on me. This hardship, this that. So Imam Islam, his hadith: if someone hurts you, it's the law of the nature that the trees with the sweetest fruits are beat the most. So don't be upset. Have patience and try to follow in Imam Islam's footsteps, as we've seen people who have been followers of Imam Islam, their success, uh, not just in this world but also in the hereafter. So with that, I'd like to conclude our program. We also have, as I asked Brother Hussein, he was able to somehow order a cake so quickly. This guy is very let me hold this
I have
cake.
a personal love for cake.
He loves cake. The Waladat of Imam Ali Islam. I'm not sure if you can read that.
Looks like it's about to slide off.
I hope not. Yes, but with that, I'd like to conclude the program. Now we can read for the 12th Imam, actually. May Allah hasten his appearance. We'll read Allahumma kulli waliyika for the safety and protection of our 12th Imam, and may he have a hasty reappearance.
Beautiful cake.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma kulli waliyika
Allahumma kulli waliyaka
Hujjat
Hujjat
ibn
ibn
al-Hasan
Hasan
salawatuka
salawatuka
alayhi
alayhi
wa
wa
ala
ala
abai
abai
fi
fi
hadhihi
hadhihi
sa'a
sa'a
wa
wa
fi
fi
kulli
kulli
sa'a
sa'a
waliyan
waliyan
wa
wa
hafidha
hafidha
wa
wa
qa'idan
qa'idan
wa
wa
nasira
wa
wa dalilan
dalilan
wa
wa
aina
ina
hatta
hatta
tuskinahu
tuskinahu
ardaka
ardaka
tawa
tawa
wa
wa
tumatti'ahu
tumatti'ahu
fiha
fiha
tawila
tawila
برحمتك
برحمتك
يا
يا
أرحم
أرحم
الراحمين
الراحمين.
اللهم صل على محمد. Once again, Mubarak to everybody on the 13th of Rajab, the birthday of the first Imam, Imam Ali alayhi salam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
خدا
Khuda.
حافظ.